Hey, it's Marizu. This is an interview that I did with Bastien from Syntonie about his forthcoming module called Cadrans. By way of disclosure, I've actually had a copy of this module, a prototype, for about 10 months now, so I've been doing some testing on it. Okay, hope this is interesting.
Test, yeah, that's fine.
Working?
Yeah,
Test.
probably.
1, 2.
Probably. Today, back at Superbooth Day 2, on the Syntonie stand with Bastien.
Hello.
So, let's take a look at Cadrans.
Cadrans? Yeah.
Okay. So, this is it's not a complicated module, it's quite simple really, but it's got a number of different functions, hasn't it? And they're all to do with manipulating voltages. So, essentially there's 3 channels of it. So you could work with red, green and blue, or 3 independent things, 3 independent channels. One of the main functions will be crossfader.
Yeah, definitely.
To crossfade between 2 inputs. So you've got 2 inputs on each channel, potentially.
Yeah.
Another option would be to move. So what does it do? It offsets and multiplies. So it basically rescales the signal from 0 to 1 volt to the scale of -1 to +1 volts.
Yeah.
So that's very useful for things like vector synthesis. And then the 4Q unipolar, what does that do?
It's basically the 2 4Q modes. It will, at max position, we have the original signal, and at the minimum position, the same signal but inverted. And the difference between B are G and B.
Yep.
This way we'll get a black and white signal, and for example I will take the output from the camera and going directly to the encoder so you can see
Okay, so
what
we just got a
here.
black and white signal there, black and white camera signal.
And maybe the first use I would talk about would be to use it as a VCA. So when you are in 2Q mode, so I'm sending the signal to the first channel, so the input 1, and then the output to the 3 input of the encoder. So we got our picture back. And then if I turn the knob down, we'll be fading to black.
Yeah.
And then going to the input number 2, we'll start from white, and it will be fading to white essentially.
Okay.
And then we can take a shape from ramp.
Well, I was going to say actually, let's just run an LFO into this so we can CV control that check. Oops. We can CV control that.
And maybe go back to the input 1.
Yeah.
So essentially the fade to black will be controlled by the LFO now.
Yeah.
And we can also have a look at a shape. So I'm taking the ellipse output from ramp.
Yeah.
And
so what we're going to do here is, just to make the shape a little bit easier to see, we're going to run it through Solaire, which is going to effectively rectify it a few times
and emphasize,
multiply it to emphasize the shape.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a bit like stairs or staircase does, except you've got the individual stages and you've got access to those individual stages, which is really cool.
And so, if I send a signal to input number 2, instead of...
I saw you with that before.
No, this is fine for this. Feel free to borrow it if you guys can make it work. It doesn't matter. But no, I did it with tissue yesterday, but that's not good because there's white. Not the good kind of white.
All right, catch you in a bit.
So so now I send the rectify ellipse to Cadrans, to the second input, and so instead of fading to black, it's now fading between the video source and the ellipse from the ramp. And so we can increase the frequency, and then we'll start to see both signal at the same time.
Yeah.
So basically the 2Q mode will be either a VCA with a single signal or crossfader with 2 signals.
And because those CVs normal downwards, you can just use one CV source to to fade between a red, green, and a blue signal, a full
Yeah,
color signal.
definitely. Maybe we should try this. We can try this, or
Yeah, well, yeah, let's do it. Do you want to do that? You do the back end, I'll do the front end.
okay, okay. So now we're taking the RGB output from the camera on one channel, and then we'll use. So maybe I can remove the other signal just to make it.
What have I done here?
Yeah, they were all set to volume.
Okay.
So yeah, now we can do. So now we got the full RGB signal,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I can take the ellipse we had before.
Why is this pointing at me?
Ah, hello. And so now, yeah, since they are normalized, we'll have our ellipse black and white, but I can also add other outputs from Solar, which will give other colors. And now, yeah, we got two sets of RGB signal, and so we can crossfade together, and we can use the LFO to do so. And since there are three switch channel, it might be a bit hard to crossfade all of them with your hands. So using a single CV signal is useful because you can automate the fading essentially.
Okay. So that's the 2Q.
Yeah, the two quadrant mode. Yeah, and
So
then
I was going to say, just all that 2 quadrant means is that it's only dealing with the positive voltages, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's just a fact, when people started talking about 2 quadrant, I didn't really know what they meant for a while. Ooh. So, at this stage, what we're going to patch now, something in the 4 quadrant modes, we'll do those in black and white for now.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Just to explain what they are, maybe switch them into colour.
So I think we'll start with the 2Q uni mode because the effect will be more obvious on the RGB source. So essentially, switching all channels to 4Q unipolar. And now instead of fading to black, we'll fade to gray in the center. And then once it reaches the center, it goes back. It inverts the signal.
Yes.
So let's go back to 2Q, fades to black. Then uni will fade to the signal, the input signal, but inverted essentially.
Okay.
And
So being able to control signals in this way is really, really important for, for a lot of things really, but particularly for things I find like vector graphic work.
Yeah. And then, maybe we can have all 3 channels again. Using the
Okay,
RGB.
I'll do this end.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then we can also, since the CV signal are going through attenuator, we can have like a singles, like actually those CV, the attenuator invert the signal, but we can have only one signal being inverted, and it starts acting as a kind of colorizer.
Yes.
Because one of the channel is different from the other.
Yeah, and I've got to admit that's one way that I've been using this module as I would kind of describe it as an unbalanced colorizer.
Yeah.
You know, with different amounts of CV going in to modulate a full color image in different ways depending upon what the CV is that's coming in.
And I think we can and then even without a CV, it's interesting to just colorize a little bit,
Yeah.
inverting one channel and not the other, and have control over it. And then with in 4QB mode, basically it will be a fade to black, but it will the middle position, like in 2Q uni.
Yeah, so in the 4Q by mode, if you had a visual cortex and you had solarize on, those negative voltages would actually start popping back up again, which is really quite nice.
Oh yeah. But I think the best way to see the 4QB mode is we'll repatch and using an oscillator maybe. And let's get back to our black and white molds.
Okay. And what are we doing here?
So right now I'm plugging the DWO, the oscillator, and it generates the vertical bar we can see right now.
Yeah.
And so if I send the other oscillator from DWO as a frequency modulation, we get this. And then the attenuator you can invert.
Okay.
And then if I send it to Cadran, the modulation, the frequency modulation.
Yeah, you can go both directions.
Yeah, and so in 2Q it will not invert. It will just like go to 0 to the max value.
Yeah.
But then in 4Q B, it will invert and you stay in the center.
Yeah, that's quite an important use, isn't it? Can we run that through? I'm just trying to think. Can we use animate to move that?
Yeah.
So what do we need to plug that into here? No. What am I thinking?
Maybe you want to send it to Cadran as a CV input.
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, actually, there's not much difference that way.
Well, there is. You can see it going.
Yeah. But then, maybe something different we can show is Cadran can be used as a processor.
Yeah.
Like attenuator and bias.
Yes.
And so to do so, we'll be using the CV only the CV inputs. And so, let's get back to our video signal. And essentially in this mode, the nodes knob will be a bias, so like a brightness control.
Yeah.
And the CV will to invert the signal. And then for QB, since it will double the amplitude of the signal, so it can be used as some kind of soft keyer.
Oh yeah. Soft key generator.
Yeah. But you don't have you.
Is it a soft key generator, or will it? Are we able to have different signals on either side?
No, actually, it will be more like a because basically a soft keyer, it's a high gain circuit with a clipping circuit just afterwards, and so you crank up the gains, and it just like keeps it always between 0-1 volt, but like everything above or under 0-1 volt gets clipped.
Yeah.
And maybe we can check with RGB.
That's all right, mate. Just recording a thing here, Cadrans. Well, all of it. So it's conversation and then. Yeah. To be able to push these signals so far, it's really nice, and it looks like a really good way to generate keys, and also have sub-processing on some of the lower areas as well.
Yeah, but then the soft key usually have a fairly high gain.
Yeah.
Here in 4QB mode, there's a 2 times gain, so it's
Yeah.
really not a really hard key. But
Yeah.
maybe we can have a look at it with the shape instead.
Yep.
And and maybe what would be interesting would be to chain them, so we can have each stage we can chain multiple also channels, and so if I get to the third one, and
Hang on a second. These aren't normal downwards on the output, are they?
no, yeah.
I'll
So-
chain them by
Yeah.
pushing them out, by
Yeah,
catching them
yeah.
back. Okay, so at this point we self-patch the module.
And,
Oh, nice.
and so yeah, I know actually what I want to do is trying to get the input shape back, but it's a little tricky, but yeah. Maybe I can just bypass to show the original shape, but yeah, essentially it will
Yeah.
make the edge of the shape way harder.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something we can also check with the oscillator by modulating it. And yeah, once again, let's see how it looks like this. And if we have a look, if we're using the output of Cadran as a modulation, we have something closer to a square or trapezoid.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we can. Each stage we had a bit more gain, and so the triangle we have at the outputs will be clipped. There will be some gain and some clipping.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Excuse me? Are you doing some wildlife work?
Yeah, something like that.
You look like you had a box of furry things.
Yeah.
Right, okay, cool.